Man, that's an everything bagel.
Me abandonaste en el parking lot de Eduardo Cinemas. Eduardo's. How was Puss in Boots?
Puss in Boots. This is my second time watching it, and it's still a solid 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. One of the best, if not the best, animated movie of this last year, 2022. Right up there with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yeah, okay, fine. Pinocchio by Guillermo del Toro made me sob, so that's a hard expectation to.
Yeah, it's a high bar.
Pursue. Yeah.
I mean, for a movie, I wasn't expecting. Like, I love Shrek, I love Puss in Boots, but I don't know, I wasn't expecting it to be that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The story was surprisingly pretty deep, you know, and I really like the universal theme of like confronting death and everything, and then the subplot with Goldilocks and her family. I thought, while like cliche, like still pulled on the heartstrings. Definitely very well done.
Y perrito.
Y perrito, sí. It's crazy how you get talking about Puss in Boots. I thought like you were like had seen the first one that came out forever ago, but you're like, no, I've never seen it. So
rule of thumb is I've never seen anything.
I just thought, like, have you seen Shrek? Like, and the way you talked about Puss in Boots, I'm like, oh, you've seen the other one.
I have to be a fan. It's like legally binding
When
to
we
be
get home, we should watch the
Latina
first one.
and like Puss in Boots. It's like not liking, what's the other character you say that everyone has to like?
What? I didn't say that. I didn't say it. I didn't say
Oh,
it.
now you're taking it back.
But they're, I'm just gonna say it, but like, don't be offended by what I say. But Speedy Gonzalez within Mexican households the grasp he has, the strength.
Is that the hamster?
I think he's a mouse.
Oh,
He's really fast.
interesting.
Yeah, I like him. He's funny.
Well, it's like that, but for Puss in Boots,
Yeah.
for me. Anyway, the soundtrack, banger.
Soundtrack banger, voice acting banger, bad guy, one of the best bad guys I've seen in an animated kids movies ever.
Oh my gosh, it gave me chills. It was scarier than all the movies I've watched this year
Yeah.
that were, in the scary genre.
Which wasn't much, but still very scary. Even for me, I was like, yo, like, I remember when I first watched it, there was like little kids crying, and I was like, yes.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I was like, cry more. I was like, this is. I remember like back the movies that I had growing up with kids movies, they were like scary. They had like scary scenes, and then like there hasn't really been like scary scenes in movies for kids, that much anymore.
Oh, are you saying PC culture overtook
not
us?
Just that, but I'm just like, remember how like we were talking about like, oh, I was like mentally scarred when this one kids movie when this person died or something like that. Like it reminded me of that.
Yeah, this one tattooed itself on my brain. It was really scary. And then when Puss in Boots, spoilers, he's scared for the first time.
Yeah.
And his like little hairs pop up and stuff. Like
you.
Same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm hairy. Because I got hairy arms.
Wow. Is that a... Yeah.
Oh, say it.
No.
Say it. He was going to say, is that a Latina
No,
thing?
it was
And
not.
yes, it is.
Oh, that's stereotypical, bro.
Well,
But anyway, let's break it down by little topics. Let's talk about the animation.
at first, I was like, and then after, I was like, ooh.
I think I love the hybrid, like classic 3D with like the touch of 2D in the normal sequences, and then when it switched to kind of that like 2.5D for the action sequences, that was like mwah, chef's kiss. Like I love seeing that. Like Spider-Verse, thank you.
It's like we live
You
in
know
a
what I mean?
post-Spider-Verse world.
You really do. You can see like before Spider-Verse and after like that one Kid Cudi show, Intergalactic or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was totally Spider-Verse, but
Totally.
I think this capitalized on it better, and like it enhanced the story and the visuals,
Yeah, so I guess like at first it like, I guess when you like go into it expecting something like Shrek, you're like, okay, like I'm expecting like traditional style.
Yeah.
And so then it was a little off-putting, and I felt like the focus and blurring was like also a little overwhelming, but then I really liked the action sequences. I really liked how creative the angles were with like the action sequences and the way that characters moved on screen. Like, what was a standout? I think just there's a moment where they're like passing around the map
And
in
the
between
camera
it,
was, like,
and the
the
camera
map,
was
yeah.
map, and that was cool. And I think like we don't see that a lot.
It's very creative. that you wouldn't think would be put into like a movie like this, you would think. It just really shows that they really seem to really love and care about this story.
Yeah.
And I think a standout animated sequence for me was the opening like musical number / troll fight. When it first kind of switched into that 2.5D, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, yo, like, this is sick. Like, I got goosebumps, like, the first Spider-Verse. Like, it was cool, like, with the bell swinging, and it looked like it was all, like, one take of him just, like, leaping over buildings, and, like, the music. Like, I was like, if we're submitting an Oscar submission for just, like, the animation alone, like, I would submit that little clip.
I think the moment I started to like the style was when he was drinking the milk and the milk droplets kept like coming out of the cup, but like in a really, it had this interesting freezing / like cartoonish motion.
It was like the frame rates were stuttering.
Yeah, and I really liked that. And so I think overall we could say like the style was a great choice.
Yeah.
It really like enhanced the story.
And it made it feel distinctive, even from the first Puss in Boots movie, because that one was more just traditionally animated. While this one definitely, like the visual language was like totally different and helped with the story. And I think it's a good thing for the Shrek CU, the Shrek universe, because it's all fairy tales and stuff. You know, it's all very exaggerated, and I thought that was a good spin on it. You know, it's like, you know, different fairy tales are told in different styles. So
yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I guess that it's a fairy tale. What story? Let's talk story.
Wait. Another point I wanted to
Okay.
make about the style is I think at first when he's telling the story of the star, it's in one style and then it switches into another. So I think that was a little off-putting too.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that they were trying to do a style within a style.
Yeah.
But I think that's when I was like, wait, I don't think I like
The
it.
very immediate beginning was a little off-putting for me, I guess, too. Like, just transitioning from the star to the music to the fight scene. As much as I love it, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like, you got to get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's if you're not expecting it, you're definitely going to be blindsided.
Yeah, and since I think I watched like one trailer a long time ago when I was first teased out.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any idea of what the style was going to look like.
I didn't even know it was going to be like that animation myself. When I remember watching the trailer, I don't remember being like, whoa, the animation. I was just like, whoa, Puss in Boots.
Yeah. And I think it was a lot of like teasing of like the hair, the eyes, the boots.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't really
like a real
any
teaser
motion.
trailer,
Yeah. It was just like, we know why you're here.
It's like and the Shrek tease. Okay,
for the story, I was like, oh, okay, they're doing like a parallel between Donkey and Shrek again, where they like
perrito,
with the perrito. Why do you say it like that?
My tongue gets perrito. My tongue gets in there.
With the perrito.
With the perrito.
But anyway, so at first I was like, you know, guarded about that because I was like, okay, are they gonna do it cheaply again?
Yeah.
You know, but then he wasn't necessarily an annoying sidekick. I think he brought up a lot of like optimism and was just generally like a good guy and was just like looking out for them. And I also enjoyed that they didn't do the like cliche of like, well, they kind of did. They did the cliche of like, you know, you see an action being done by the protagonist and you think that it's against them.
Right.
But
it's like out of
not.
context.
But I like that they didn't do like a whole like, okay, I'm gonna go in a different direction now.
Like whole storm
sequence.
off.
Yeah. And so I appreciated it that at its core it continued to be this thing about like, well, I'm gonna still show up for you.
Yeah.
Even if you don't show up for me. And then the moment that made me cry was when Perrito like calmed Puss down when he was having a panic attack in the forest.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute.
I thought it was really awesome and interesting that they actually put like him having a panic attack in the movie.
Yeah, I think
really,
that was like a
that.
really grown theme and like
the
makes
movie was
sense.
very like mature, I think, in its story of you know, dealing with death and, you know, you're living up to like a legend that you set yourself, you know, and being scared. Like even the legend is like him, like it's a fear of him like not wanting to die, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very mature for a kid's movie. I definitely wasn't expecting it, I guess. That's why maybe I was so blown away, because I literally like wasn't expecting like such depth, you know, or maybe any depth, but I really think of like watching it a second time, I was like, there's actual like good substance to the story.
Yeah, I would totally watch it again.
Yeah.
I also love the representation in it. I think it didn't do this thing where like oh, let's go to mi casa, you know. It was like, they had like full-blown Spanish sentences, and there wasn't subtitled or anything. They just like, if you know, you know, kind of thing. And there was this nice little Easter egg for the people who do their Duolingo homework. So I enjoyed that about it. The music was great too. The score
Was great. Yeah. I really loved the Goldilocks subplot. I thought that was really touching, where she's with the three bears and they're like a family unit, but she's obviously like a little detached, like mentally. She's like being avoidant and everything about what the wish she wants is. And then it's sweet at the end when she's like, you know what, I had the family I want the whole time. Like, that was a sweet moment. And it could have been really cheesy, but I think it was really well done by the actors and the animation involved. Like, it didn't feel cheap. It felt like earned.
Okay, what didn't you like about the movie?
What didn't I like? I think, like I said, like, the opening is like super fast paced up until probably like he dies and then like gets to the doctor. Like, that's like, it's like a rush sequence. But I know it's like meant to like get the story going and everything. I don't know. The main villain, I guess, not Death. The other guy, Jack Horner. I thought he was like funny, but I don't think he could carry the whole thing. I thought he could have used, like, it was good that he got paired with the Jiminy Cricket thing, but I think he should have been there from the start to kind of balance him out. Because I hate it, but I love John Mulaney, the old John Mulaney, but I was like, he can't carry the bad guy role, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He would have been a good comic, like, sidekick, like the bad guy's sidekick, you know?
Yeah, I think John Mulaney wasn't a good choice for that voice. Like, I was just looking at the character the whole time, and it just, like, in my head, I was like, that doesn't,
I know,
like that
John
shouldn't be
Mulaney.
John Mulaney. Yeah.
I guess to balance, because they went overboard with Death, they were like,
God.
you know what, maybe let's make the other guy a little lighter. And I did laugh at a lot of the moments that he was doing, but it, I guess, maybe just didn't feel as...
Well, I'm not necessarily saying he should have been played by someone with a serious voice or anything, but I just felt like the way that the character looked didn't fit the voice, and it was throwing me off.
Yeah, his character design was very interesting. I'm not really familiar with that nursery rhyme anyway, so I don't know. I don't really like...
Yeah, I didn't have any attachment to him. Yeah. I know about Goldilocks, so that was like easy. Yeah. And then there was some moments where I felt like scenes ended in a very like awkward place. Like, there's a moment where Puss is in the cave, and then we switch back to like the woods where Kitty is, and like there was just something about that I was like, it felt half-baked. And then I know that they come back to it, but it just was an awkward place to stop, I think.
Definitely we're trying to solve the Perito getting kidnapped little thread before, because they need to come back to see Puss running away from Death. So, but I know what you're saying, where the cut did feel a little weird with like cutting away from like a song and dance potential sequence to like the kidnapping sequence. But it was good for the Goldilocks arc, I think. Like, they definitely needed that scene.
And I like the character growth for Puss. Like, he grows in the movie, which is great. But I think there's also like, I don't know, I guess just it's nice that he faces his arrogance.
I like how he wasn't really, like, I guess too stubborn about it either, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I think he kind of like, he accepted defeat really quick at the beginning, and then while he may have like gone on the quest for like under like false motives of like, you know, wanting to get his 9 lives back, like he never really did it out of selfishness. He just did it out of like fear, you know? That's something I really liked. And then he realized, he's like, you know what, like, it's okay to have the one life, and I want to live it with my friends. And I was like, that's nice. Like, that's good.
Yeah. So not too many things to
not too many
harp
things.
on.
Like, I love animated movies, and I'm very critical about animated movies. Sometimes overly so, where I know, like, you'll be like, well, how do you want to watch Minions? I'm like, well, I love animated movies. I want to watch Minions, you know? But I'm usually kind of tough on them. But this one, I think, stands up with, like, some of my favorite animated movies, I'd say. Like, definitely a top 10, for me, animated movie.
Yes, I agree. And now I'm adding some of the songs to my Spotify playlist.
Yeah, they're bangers.
Yeah. And there were some familiar voices. Like, at first I thought the doctor was this guy from Jane the Virgin, like the dad or something, but it's not. So I'm very curious about everyone and who
Also,
they were.
the Gingerbread Man and Pinocchio cameo. I was
Woo!
like, let's go, more Shrek.
Hey.
Like,
Yeah, I wonder what this means for the future.
Right, what does this mean for the Shrek CU, bro? Like,
When you see Far, Far Away.
yeah, when the Far, Far Away dropped, the first time, me and my brothers, we started clapping. We're like, let's go. That was my end game. I was like, let's go, Shrek.
Let's go, Shrek MCU. Or
Shrek
CU.
Shrek CU. Shrek CU.
SCU.
SCU, yeah. There's definitely like a late addition at the end of the year, but definitely sneaks into my top 10, I think, best of 2022.
Oh.
Probably, besides Pinocchio, probably like the only animated movie on there. So
Dang.
that's pretty good. I mean, that's 2 spots to animated films, and I love animated films, but usually they don't crack like my personal top 10s because it takes a lot to impress me with animated movies. So
And it was really funny.
yeah, it's very entertaining throughout.
Yeah.
Love it. I feel like the actors had great chemistry. You know, like
Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas.
He has my heart.
He
Tiene mi corazón. If you're listening, te amo.
En español. We'll have to transcast in Spanish.
No. All right. Well, we're home now.
All right.
We always shoot these in the car.
We
so
should shoot these on the car rides home now.
We do, because someone said, my close friend Josh said that it sounds like 2 people who are leaving the movies and like
Talking about
recapping.
That's
In
facts.
the car,
That's a good
and-
description, Josh. Well, we still gotta watch Glass Onion for you.
Yeah. Well, we already have,
Well,
but
we
we'll
watched
watch
it
it again,
again.
so
We
that
watched
we
that, like,
have
a
fresh
month ago.
thoughts, fresh onion thoughts.
Fresh onion thoughts. We don't want rotten onion, like rotten
We
tomatoes.
want to peel back the layers of this film.
But it's a glass onion, so you could see through the layers.
Whoa.
Ooh, little spoilers for that one. All right.
Okay. Hasta luego. Say something in Spanish.
Buenos noches.